Hi folks, welcome to Moss World. I just wanted to make this little video to help you guys unpack this and hopefully make your install a little bit easier. So when you first receive this piece, I would get a couple of sawhorses or a table or some kind of bench and put this thing horizontally across two sawhorses. There are two screws on the bottom of this piece or the back that are marked remove. So if you put the back of this piece up on sawhorses and crawl underneath it and remove those two screws, that would be step one. Take off the screws in the back, then you can remove the face, and this is what you'll see behind the face, which is the moss piece wrapped in plastic. So once you've pulled off the two face sheets, this is what you'll see. You'll see the moss wrapped up in plastic. The next thing that I would do is to remove these stop blocks up top. There's one on the left, and there's one over here on the right. And the way that you remove these blocks is by taking out these screws marked remove. So there's one here and there's one here. So remove those screws. The next thing I would do is I would take off the entire side, which is this. So I would remove this entire side, both right and left sides. So then what you should be left with is this piece in the middle with no stop blocks and no sides on it. It'll be laying on its back. And what you should be able to do is scooch this piece towards the stop blocks and free it from the French cleat on the back, which is what's holding it up. At that point, the piece should be free. And then what you can do is reach under it from the side. You can reach right in here and just lift it up. And I think the easiest thing to do would be lift it straight up on either side and walk it back. Now, the one thing that you can do, if you'd like to, is you can set the piece on these stop blocks that I've made. So if you need to set the piece down as it's positioned right now on its side, I would set it on the stop blocks or a packing blanket or something soft, because the edge is fairly fragile before you try to go up on the wall. The cleat, the French cleat, which is going to be mounting this, if you set your if you determine where the top of your frame is, right here, determine where the top of the frame is, and come down 15 1/8 to the bottom of my French cleat, that's where you're going to be able to, mount it, and that should give you your set height from the top. So determine your set height, come down 15 1/8, and use the mounting cleat. And I'm going to walk you into the shop here. We're going to check out the mounting cleat, which is right here. So here's the mounting cleat right here. If you can see it, I'm going to set it up on the table there. So here's the mounting cleat. So remember, what you do is you determine 15 1/8. Let's see, 15 1/8. Something like that, from the top of the frame, and then you come to the bottom of the mounting cleat, and that should set you up in terms of height. Okay? Then there are these hollow wall anchors, which I like using, and here's the instructions for the hollow wall anchors that you can see. You drill a hole, you push the anchor in. You guys might be familiar with this, I'm not sure. So drill a hole, push the anchor in. It's like a toggle, but it's kind of a fancier version. Push it in, pull it back, and then you snap off the edges of the toggle. So that's what you're going to be using as far as anchors. What I would do is I would put the screws in the holes like this. So I would put each of the screws in the holes, measure down 15 1/8, have someone hold it up, tap each screw, which should give you a set point. So if you mount all of these screws in there, hold it up, hit them all with a hammer as a tap point, that'll give you your drill points. Drill them all through, set up all your anchors, and then just screw this cleat home. So the one thing about these cleats, I don't know if you guys have used these quite often, the one thing about these cleats are they need to remain flat and straight. And I imagine that your wall probably is not flat and straight. So these need to be, this in order for that piece to hang correctly, needs to be as straight as possible. I mean, incredibly straight, actually. So once you guys set these up with your center anchor, I would tighten the center anchor, which should be here. I would start with the center anchor. I would tighten that first. or whatever the bulge out from the wall is. Does that make sense? And then you might have to get behind this and shim slightly in order to make it flat. I would take a 6-foot level and check to see that it's totally flat along its edge like this. I would make sure that it's flat as possible. So then once this cleat is up, it's flat, it's set, then you should just be able to lift this piece up from both sides. Here's the Moss piece out here. You should be able just to lift this whole thing up and set it against the wall and just ride it down, and it should grab the cleat. I'm sure you guys have done this a million times. So good luck. I hope it works out well. Thanks a lot.